mystery that got solved only to lead to another, deeper mystery. Why would a seemingly happy husband and father disappear?
The people who have had alien abductions, they feel like they can't share this with anybody because they're going to be labeled as crazy. They might lose their job. They might get divorced.
Travis Walton, his friends were looking at going to jail. They thought that they killed him when he was missing. And he was missing for a number of days. He pops back up.
These men, in my opinion, believe that they saw this, and that they were being honest in reporting what they have reported.
Sherrill Levitt, her 19-year-old daughter Suzie Streeter, and Suzie's friend Stacy McCall were all at a graduation party for the two young women in their Missouri town one day, early June 1992. So it's been a hot minute since this happened. And the next day, they were gone. All their personal possessions had been left behind. We're talking purses, wallets, car keys, and there was no signs of a struggle. Now, over the years, authorities have followed up on not one, not two, but several leads, and all have either been discredited or found to be inconclusive. So the police are still treating this as an abduction, but they don't know what happened to the women, they don't know where they went, they don't have any new leads, and it's been over 30 years. In the year 1980, 28-year-old John Reed left his hometown of Twin Cities, California, and traveled to Brazil. He was hoping to find the lost city of Acacor, which is an ancient underground civilization which had supposedly remained undiscovered in the Amazonian jungles for thousands of years. And Reed had learned about the city in a book called, fittingly, The Chronicle of Acacor. The author, Carl Brugger, had written it after learning about Acacor from a Brazilian jungle guide named Tatunka Nara, who claimed he had once been chief of a tribe which ruled the city 3,000 years ago. He said he was born in the jungle near the border with Peru. He even served as a guide for an elaborate expedition mounted by Jacques Cousteau. Yeah, the famous French explorer scientist. Tatunka lived in the village of Barcelos and ran a lucrative business leading tourists into the jungle to search for Acacor. And few who went into the wilds with Tatunka believed the story, but it just added another layer of exotic fun to the adventure of a lifetime. But for folks like John, this tale touched deeper. It was more, I need this. So Reed decided to accompany Tatunka on one of these expeditions. He left his dog tags and return plane ticket in his hotel room, but he never came back for them. Now, Tatunka always claimed that Reed ran off and hid in the jungle after they decided to return to Barcelos. However, Reed was not the only person to disappear under suspicious circumstances in Tatunka's company. During the 1980s, a Swiss man named Herbert Warner and a Swedish woman named Christine Huser would also mysteriously vanish during a Tatunka expedition. By the way, Herbert's jawbone was later found. In addition, Carl Brugger would also meet his end too soon on a real street in 1984. There's a lot of things here. Authorities have always believed that Gunther Hawk was responsible for the disappearances of everybody and the meeting an end too soon that I just mentioned. That might have seemed like it didn't make sense, but there's never been enough evidence to charge him. Oh, if you're wondering who Gunther Hawk is, he's Tatunka. Yeah, the police have his birth certificate and other personal records. A police expert studied photographs of Hawk from his early teens to early 20s and of the man who calls himself Tatunka, and they're like, oh yeah, this is the same guy. So police records show that he was a sailor in 1966 and then he jumped ship in Venezuela, and he claimed to be, all sorts of different things, and a psychiatrist was like, yeah, he's schizophrenic. And then he was returned to West Germany, where he was jailed for 3 months for failing to support his family, and then a couple years later he sailed to Brazil, again jumped ship, and then disappeared, and Tatunka, the identity, emerged. So, going back to our first disappearance today of John, who went poof without a sight, his sister Sandy actually traveled to the Amazon around 1990 with a German filmmaker and a reporter to try and get some answers for herself about John going poof. Well, obviously it's 2024 and she doesn't have answers, which is mind-boggling. So you probably know this next name, you probably know it well, Shelly Miscavige. She married her husband David in 1982, and they rose together in the Church of Scientology as members of an elite group called the Commodore's Messenger Organization. And the last time Shelly was seen in public was at her father's funeral in 2007. 6 years after her last public appearance, actress Leah Remini left the church, so it was like 2013 I believe, and she filed a missing persons report with the LA Police Department. And it's thanks to Leah that we're all just like, hey, where did Shelly go? What happened? Now, after an investigation, the LAPD was like, oh yeah, Shelly's alive, she's safe. We're not gonna pursue this. The church denied she disappeared. They said, oh, she's fine. Okay, but where is she? Why hasn't she said it herself? Well, in 2022, after hearing about an investigation into now retired LAPD Captain Corey Palka about alerting others of confidential police investigations, Leah Remini to the rescue once again. She revealed photographs of Corey Palka accepting a $20,000 check from Scientology Scientology for LAPD charities, and one of a Scientology information kiosk located in the LAPD Hollywood Division station. So, while speaking with Corey originally, Leah noticed a letter of thanks to him from Scientology with an invitation to lunch. So, I don't know, folks. You tell me. There's some former Scientology members that have said that they believe Shelley is being held against her will at a compound, the Scientologist Church of Spiritual Technology Corporation over in California. But other than that, to this day, we have no sign of her, we have no sign where she is, and I would like answers before I also go poof. In May of the year 2000, New York-based travel writers Claudia Kershaw and Tanya Grossinger were traveling to Havana, Cuba on a business trip, but sadly found out that the trip was suddenly canceled during their layover in Jamaica. And they're like, you know what? This sucks, but it's not the end of the world. We're gonna make the most of it. So Claudia got to a resort and was like, hey, I'm gonna make some friends. She made friends with one Anthony Grant, who was one of the resort's bartenders. She was a big fan of reggae music, and Anthony was like, yeah, I'll take you to a nearby club. Let's have a good time. So Tanya, on the other hand, she booked a flight home and she's like, you know what, Claudia, you have fun. I'll see you back in New York. Like, I just want to go home and probably just go to bed. Which, valid. Well, here's the thing. A lifeguard was reportedly the last person to see Claudia alive the next afternoon. She was walking on a local beach away from the resort. And fast forward, June 2nd. Claudia's parents were notified because she hadn't shown up for work in New York, so they contacted the resort in Jamaica. Now, by this point, hotel maids had reported Claudia missing because, oh hey, she hadn't slept in her bed for several days, but all of her belongings were still in her room. Her passport, credit card, cell phone, almost $200 in cash. They were all in the hotel safe just where she left them. Now, Claudia's mom, Mary, told the press that Claudia was a very organized person, and had she planned any sort of excursion or variance in her trip, she would have brought everything with her. So as soon as they found out their daughter was missing, Claudia's parents were on the next plane to Jamaica. But their attempts to find out what happened to their daughter hit one mysterious end after another. Let's start with the resort where Claudia was staying. So as a security precaution, the license plates of all vehicles entering and leaving the resort were allegedly carefully recorded in a logbook. Conveniently, the logbook for the month that Claudia was, there and going poof, that logbook was also poof. Then a videotape from a surveillance camera mounted near Claudia's room had been recorded over. And finally, the room where Claudia stayed was cleared by housekeeping and hotel security before it could be processed for clues. I don't know, folks, I'm getting a lot of red flags here. So frustrated by all of this, Claudia's parents brought in the FBI because they were like, hey, we need help, and also an American search and rescue team. So according to a canine handler on the case, his dog tracked Claudia's scent to the home of Anthony Grant, that bartender I mentioned earlier. So at Anthony's home, the dog got a hit on a pair of boots, a pair of gloves, and a kitchen weapon. Oh, and it found Claudia's scent in the trunk and back seat of Anthony's car. Now, he was investigated, polygraphed, but the results were inconclusive. The FBI was like, yeah, we interviewed him for like weeks, but we don't consider him a suspect. And to this day, nobody knows where Claudia went, and I still have questions. And that's all for today, folks. I've been Alexa, resident Ookie Spooky Girly. See ya!